Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of Composer of the Month. This month, I am very pleased to interview composer Paige Krumperman. Paige recently wrote a musical and has been performed by students at various local schools. This musical has received lots of great feedback from students and families for its bright and creative ideas. Hi Paige, it's very nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So let's get this interview started. My first question for you is, how do you describe your musical style and what genres do you typically work within?
So, I would describe my musical style as very influenced by musical theater and also pop music. Um, you can also think of it as a little bit Disney influenced as well. I definitely grew up listening to a lot of Disney music, and when I write for kids, I want to write songs that they want to sing along to, and I think Disney is a great blueprint for that.
Yeah, that's great. So, who are your biggest influences?
I loved Elton John growing up. I am the age where I love Taylor Swift. I love Sarah Bareilles. There are all these great. I love anyone who plays the piano and sings because that's how I write my music. I sit at the piano and I sing melodies until I'm like, yes, that's the one. And so I love a lot of artists like that. But I also have a deep love for choral music and classical choral composers. Mendelssohn. I love I love Eric Whitacre and his current modern choral compositions. So there are a lot of different influences, but for my children's musicals, I have to say Alan Menken and just a lot of those Disney composers.
That's wonderful. And how have they shaped your musical style?
They definitely shaped my musical style. When I was in middle school, I would sit and play through a Disney songbook and just play all of the songs, and then I would close it and I would try to play it all by ear and see if I could figure out what they were doing with the chords and then see if I could replicate that myself. And it was a great way for me to learn what tools different composers use and then put those into my own music. Like, I remember, I'd be playing a C chord, and then I discovered if I put in a C sharp diminished chord, I was like, whoa, I love the way that sounds. And I think I found that in some of the Sherman Brothers music for Winnie the Pooh, things like that. I would listen and see what they were doing, and then I would try it out in my own music.
All right, yeah, that's great. And for commissions, what's the most challenging one that you have received so far?
Hmm. So, just recently, I started working on a choral piece for one of my friends. She lives out in Germany, and there's this Norwegian song that she wanted me to arrange for a choir that she's working with out there. So she sent me the music, and I I loved it. It's this beautiful Norwegian Christmas song called Ten Leaves, and it's gorgeous. Really beautiful melody. But it was an interesting assignment because I they were going to be singing the song in German. And so I was trying to figure out what the translation would be from, I could see what the translation was into English, but then figuring out the Norwegian to German translation and putting that all together and making sure that the melodies and the harmonies made sense. It was a bit of a challenging one, but I loved working on it, and the choir is set to perform it in a couple of weeks, and I think it's going to be really lovely. So that's a recent one that comes to mind.
I'm quite happy for you. I hope to listen to that soon, if you have a recording of that. And so, in terms of business, what motivated you to start your business, Sing and Play Productions?
Yeah, so I started Sing and Play Productions in the winter of 2022, so February of 2022. I was a junior in college, and I was looking to do some sort of summer internship, and my husband was coming, so I was in school in Utah, and my husband was coming up to Seattle to do an internship, and I thought I want to do something in Seattle as well. So I reached out to the city of Redmond, which is where I grew up, and to see about doing summer camps. And I just kind of pitched them the idea of putting on these shows as week-long camps for kids. And they would know nothing on day one, on the Monday, and then on that Friday, they'd put on a whole show. And the city of Redmond, they were so supportive, very enthusiastic. And so they said, yeah, you should totally do this. But, in order for us to hire you as a contractor, you need to start a business. And I had never anticipated starting a business while I was in college. I felt like I had a lot of things going on, and it seemed like a really big step and something kind of out of my comfort zone. But at the same time, it came about pretty naturally. I realized, okay, I guess if I want to do these camps, I need to start a business, and I need to figure out insurance, and I need to figure out how I'm going to get employees and pay them. And so just kind of naturally, as I was pursuing the projects that were most exciting and invigorating to me, I ended up starting my business. And now we've done 3 years of summer camps with the city of Redmond, and it's been fabulous. I've graduated and I've moved on to lots of different projects that fit under that same umbrella of sing and play productions, writing children's musicals and doing the summer camps, after school programs, in school programs, and also writing a children's podcast that kind of fits under this umbrella of children's media. So I'm really grateful that I kind of had this push from the city of Redmond to start a business. It has been a really good thing for me.
Do you remember your first production for that sing and play that you did?
The first production I did for Sing and Play was Animal Kingdom, which is the same production I just recently did at EAS with the middle schoolers. And it was the first show that I kind of wrote as a professional. My first production that I ever wrote, I was 12 years old. And my Aunt Diane was coming into town, and she said, while you're in town, I need you to write me a musical, and we'll put it on with all your friends. And so she gave me the book King Bidgood's in the Bathtub and He Won't Get Out. It's a classic children's book. She gave that to me and she said, write a musical about it. So I did at age 12, and we put it on with all my friends when she was here for a week. And that's kind of where I got this format of teaching a musical in a week. And I loved it. And I loved the feeling of doing that. And then I would do it all through middle school and high school as kind of these mini camps to earn money in the summer. So then when I had this opportunity to do it for the city of Redmond and write my own musical, not based off of anything, Animal Kingdom, I knew what I wanted it to feel like based off of what I'd done as a young teenager. And it was an amazing experience. I thought about what type of things kids relate to. I think every kid that you meet has had a moment where they feel like they don't fit in, or they don't measure up, or they're not good enough. And so I thought the first line that popped into my head when thinking about Animal Kingdom is we have this little axolotl who feels like she doesn't fit in with all of the other animals. And the line, they forgot all about the axolotl. That was the first thing that popped into my head. And I was like, I think that we have something with that. And then with the idea that we all belong in the animal kingdom, and that being the conquering idea that there is a spot for every animal, just as there's a spot for every kid. That was meaningful to me in that first show.
Yeah, and so what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs and musicians looking to create their own path in this industry?
Oh, I love this question because I got some great advice when I was in school, and I was composing all this orchestral music, and I was writing songs and also doing like audio engineering work, and I was trying all these things, and I just wasn't feeling like any of it really clicked with who I was. And this composer came to my school and was speaking to us, and he talked about finding your superpower and running with it. And I was thinking about and reflecting, like, what is my superpower? And I realized it's writing songs for children. And it might not seem like, the fanciest, most prestigious composition route, right? And I'd done other, more intense compositions in different, subjects and different genres. But I realized I loved writing music for children and that I was good at it. And so rather than, I still loved exploring and working in other genres, but I realized that I could really run with what I loved to do and what I was best at with my superpower. And now I've created a whole business and a whole kind of idea and project based off of following my superpower and doing what I love, what I've done since I was a little kid. So that, I think, is some great advice. Find your superpower and run with it.
That's wonderful advice. I will definitely listen to that. And so my last question for you for this interview is, are you having any upcoming projects that you'd like to share with our audience?
Yeah, there are all sorts of projects. So my current project that I'm working on, the children's podcast that I've mentioned, is called Constant Wonder Kids, and it's on BYUradio. And with each one of these Constant Wonder Kids episodes, it's a story about 15 minutes meant for elementary school kids, and it ends with just a little jingle that I wrote. I said the superpower is writing little songs for kids, and I love working on those jingles and also hosting the show. So that's one of my big projects right now. Another project I have coming out soon is for each of my shows that I've written, I'm working on producing full professional albums that will be available on streaming services. We have 2 out right now. Animal Kingdom and Space Explorers are both out, but starting this month, I'm going to be recording a 3rd album for Fairy Tale Mystery, which is one of my shows. So hoping to release that sometime in February. But yeah, I'm keeping busy, getting a lot of different after school programs set up throughout the Lake Washington School District in the Redmond and Kirkland area. So those are some of my big projects right now, and I really enjoy it.
That's wonderful. And do you have some videos that you could possibly share, any links to your music that I could put into the video?
Definitely. I'll share some links to my albums, to the podcast, and then also to my website for Sing and Play Productions.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you so much for this interview. It was a pleasure talking to you and learning from you, and I wish you the best of luck and success in the future.
Thank you so much. You are a fabulous interviewer. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Okay.